How are you feeling about the equity markets these days?
I think that notwithstanding that sentiment is not completely buoyant in the country, given given a lot of the poisonous political environment that we see in Washington, there are a lot of things that are going well in this country. Like the energy situation, like the deleveraging that had occurred, like the fact that housing has almost certainly bottomed and is improving. Also, you have a Fed that's been very, very easy with monetary policy, largely because nobody wants the risk of retreating back into a recessionary condition. So all in all, the conditions for the equity market are quite favorable.
What keeps you up at night when it comes to markets?
Well, I spend 98% of my time in the 2% biggest problems that exist at any time, and my job is to look around corners and worry about everything. But I've been doing this for over 30 years, so at this point I could tell you I don't lose sleep over it, I just do it.
Okay, so give me 3 things that are worrisome but not causing you to lose sleep.
We see because of the budget battles that austerity measures are coming in, budget tightening. What if we slipped into recession in this country after working so hard to get out of it and resume growth? What if Europe derails again in their problems, and Europe can't get, suffers from its own growth problems?
In your dream world, what would be happening right now on the fiscal side?
So, for example, we know we have to work on narrowing the budget gap, but we didn't have to do it with such a blunt instrument as an across-the-board cut that came into effect this year while the economy still feels fragile. I would have preferred a more focused view of cuts, to look at programs that looked a little, that we could afford to cut back.
And these cuts, they say, the CBO says we're going to lose 750,000 jobs. Is that what your economists here are looking at as well? I think 0.5% or 0.6%.
I don't have that number in terms of job equivalent, but we see it as something between 0.6 or 0.75%.
And so that leaves us in a pretty slow growth environment, around 2% annually. So what do we say to Americans, 12 million Americans out of work?
Well, you can't go. Obviously, stimulating the economy will have a positive effect on jobs, but you can't, at some point, you can't finance that extra stimulus. So the people who would like to see the deficit cut are right also. The people who are the Keynesians who say this is not the right time to do it are right also. Look, all you have to do is look at Europe and see that sometimes an economy can get to the point where you'd like to stimulate the economy by spending money, but you can't finance the additional expenditures you'd like to make. And at that point, you lose a little bit control over your destiny. So we have to do both. We have to look for ways of providing a stimulus, but we have to accept the fact that we're going to have some headwinds from the fact that we have to get our budget deficit into a better place.
Not a fan of Washington, are you?
No, Washington is a reflection of America. I'm a big fan. The fact that Congress is so divided, it's not the congressmen and senators that are just doing this out of nowhere. The country's divided. How much government should be in your life, how big the central government should be versus the state, what's the role of government in the economy. These are issues that have been debated in this country for a long time, and this is not the first time it's been that acute. These are real issues, and in this country, we debate these issues. We provide excellent theater for the rest of the world who can't believe how
well, at least we don't have a clown running for government.
No, but this is also a release of pressure. At the end of the day, what does happen is legitimate, and this is the only way. Look, if everybody agreed, the politics in Washington wouldn't be so bad. And if everyone is in disagreement and the country has a schism and it's divided along, and these are real issues, ideological issues, you're not going to have happy government at a time when the country is as divided as it is. I'm just glad we're in a country where these things get worked out.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you.